Be careful about going into the darkness, for the darkness is infinite, and so is the light. 1 year ago, I was heartbroken. I don't mean sad, I mean shattered. By a twisted, non COVID related dynamic of circumstances and relationships, I was abruptly, unfairly, severely alienated from my beloved 15-year-old son. Of all the many things I've overcome in my life before and since, this was the very worst feeling I've ever experienced. I felt discarded and unloved, and I was in a vacuum of deep grief. I spent Thanksgiving without my son and Christmas by myself. For the first time in my life, I felt suicidal with plans. The plans part scared me. I was alone and isolated. My friends couldn't help. It became difficult to function or to work. Life was not normal. It was getting dark, really dark. Be careful about going into the darkness, for the darkness is infinite, and so is the light. It rang true to me. Some do go into the darkness and they don't make it. I understood the desire to be released from insufferable pain. It was a crossroads, and I could choose. And I did choose. And I chose the light. And I promised myself I would never, ever go there, the other way, ever again. From that moment, I had to pull myself out of the dark, literally step by step. I started walking around the empty track by the high school. I listened to podcasts and audiobooks and meditations while I walked. Step by step, round and around in that circle, I'd walk 20 laps, about 5 miles daily, mustering everything I had in me to feel gratitude for what I did have at that time. The trees, the sky, the birds, the air, my able body. I got myself into therapy. I didn't like the Zoom calls, but I did it anyway. I found yoga teachers online and joined a weekly class. I logged my feelings and gratitudes into the Calm app, sometimes multiple times a day. Nothing was perfect, and I let it be imperfect. As long as I was going in the right direction, even 1% improvement toward the light, towards wellness. I tried to sleep and eat as best as I could while loving myself through this. And when I couldn't sleep or eat well, I loved myself through it anyway. That same season, just before my birthday, I found a lump in my right breast. It had been 10 months after a clear mammogram, and my left hand intuitively went up to the area, and I thought, what is that? It feels different. 3 days later, the doctor assured me it's probably a cyst. It didn't feel like cancer. Due to COVID delays, it took another 3 months to get a diagnostic mammogram and then biopsies, one in the breast, another in the lymph node under my armpit. The call came on a regular Tuesday morning, diagnosis of breast cancer, spread to the lymph. I was scheduled to talk with the surgeon immediately that week. I didn't have the typical reaction of fear or anger or disbelief or even shock. I just kind of went, I felt I knew where it had come from, all the loss and stress and grief, and I was unsurprised and unself-pitying by it. In contrast, I immediately felt self-compassionate. It was a deep hurt that needed to be witnessed, tended to. Soon, I had a whirlwind of information coming at me, including my friend Bryce, who left a 4-minute message about the dangers of chemo and how it had killed his grandmother and how he wanted me to go to a healing center and tackle this naturally. The doctors, the surgeon, the oncologist, the clinical trials nurse, my dear and brilliant friend Jeannie, who was a nurse for 18 years, all pressed on me not to mess around with this. It was a serious diagnosis, an aggressive type, and I had a kid. I took the treatment. My nurse friend Jeannie said I should tell my son's father what was going on. Really? I said. We hadn't spoken in months, and it had been a torturous time. Yes, she said. They need to know what the hell's going on and treat you like a human. So without expectation, I told him what was going on. And I believe the reality of life and death and the pettiness of ego and control got put aside and everything turned around. And before I knew it, my son and I were going out to dinner at the harbor as if nothing had happened. He talked about his life and easily opened up to me. There were hugs and I love yous. We've been good ever since. Before starting medical treatment, I decided to share publicly what I was going through. I'm not a big social media person, but I had some good people I was connected to through various groups, spiritual groups, health groups, grad school writing groups, international business groups, and I didn't want to hide. I didn't want to carry this all alone as I had so many other things before. I did not know what the response to this sharing, if any response at all, would be. The sharing changed my life. I had an outpouring of support and love. So many people rooting for me and really wanting me to be well. I started to post weekly about my journey. I tell stories about the oncology nurses or shaving my head for the first time or getting into a bikini as a bald lady and going into the ocean or the few times I wound up in the ER from serious complications. I received so much love and so many gifts. People reached out to offer hypnotherapy sessions and sent humorous gifts and snacks for me to bring to the oncology nurses. I had a wall of uplifting cards, received lavender essential oil from a friend's farm in Italy, received a dress from Morocco. Others sent local restaurant gift certificates, smoothie service, superfoods, soups, an angel cup, a painting, soft socks, all kinds of things. They called to check in on me. They answered my calls. I learned to ask for help, and I received it. All this kept me going. We were now in it together. When I posted that I'd received the best outcome possible, the pathology report came back. There was nothing there. Not in the breast, not in the lymph nodes removed. I posted that we had did it, and we all celebrated together. Through this journey, I reconnected with childhood friends and other friends, and I made new friends. I have a community that I relate with now on a regular basis. Some of them who live nearby accompanied me to appointments that lasted for hours and brought me fruit and food and came to visit even when I was bald with no eyelashes and I could hardly walk. I let them see me. I let them in. I loved myself through it, through the worst of it. I wanted to be well. Most importantly, I healed the relationship with my son and my heart healed. Be careful about going into the darkness, for the darkness is infinite, and so is the light. I walked around last night by myself, looking at the 100-year-old Chinese elm trees and the twinkling lights wrapped around them, silently like I normally do, and sometimes out loud, thanking God, Creator, and all the people that this love works through, touching and changing our lives with constant gifts. Gifts of attention, gifts of listening, gifts of giving and sharing and receiving, gifts of love. The gift of this present, precious moment. The gift of our lives. Love is the great healer. Love is genuinely wanting someone else or yourself to be well. My Italian grandmother, Angelina Di Simone, and I used to say this to each other, Ti voglio bene, which means I love you, and literally translates into I want you to be well. I wish you the strength and courage to keep choosing the infinite light.